Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to a new episode of The Concession Stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of Prime Video's Invincible Season 2, Episode 2, entitled, In About 6 Hours, I Lose My Virginity to a Fish. That's the title of the episode. You can't make this stuff up, people. But this episode, unlike the first episode of the season, introduces a lot of subplots that is going on within this world, this universe, this story of Invincible. And the episode opens up with Mark. He's dealing with these 3 assignments from Cecil, each involving this lavish fight scene. Each one has an epic little superhero battle. Simultaneously, we have Adam Eve struggling to help others in Chicago from the fallout between the fight with Invincible and Omni-Man. Also, we have Debbie dealing with trying to get her life back in order, trying to go back to work and all this here. We have the Guardians of the Globe. They're going through infighting between one another, and we got Amber getting involved in local politics. You know, it's a lot to deal with in, I guess, this little 30, 45-minute episode. But narratively, the main thrust of this story is still Mark and his relationship with his father and how it reflects on his interactions with various super people. One scene pits him against an old foe, but the other two see him cleaning up Nolan's mess or Omni-Man's mess. In one of the situations, we see that Invincible kind of channels his father's intimidation on one of the enemies to submit, and it worked. So he's dealing with that internal fighting within himself, as well as what's going on around him. In the other, he brings him up as a negative example, I guess you could say. So overall, it is still the central theme of this show, especially as Debbie and Cecil pull him in opposite directions. We got Cecil trying to get Invincible or Mark, back on that horse, as they say, to kind of get his mind off of what's transpiring around him. Whereas Debbie is being the mother. She's being the mother in trying to protect him from all of this foolishness and really wants him to have a normal life. And so the individual superhero action scenes, they're a lot of fun, but the show does benefit by slowing it down. One of the subplots, we have Adam Eve, who feels that, well, we know from the first season, she stopped doing superhero work. She has decided to use her powers to help other than fight. And we see the divide between the public, who are split on the superheroes' presence. Some that still want the superheroes to help them, and those who feel that superheroes are causing more damage than others. And as Adam Eve is helping in the efforts in Chicago, we see that she helps out this family, this mother and her child develop. She builds up this, I guess you could say, playground or whatever on this piece of land that the city just hasn't done anything with. They refuse to build on this land. So she does it for them and, gets the praise from the neighborhood. And she feels she's doing good. She's doing what she's meant to do. And so at the same time, we have this problem back at home between her parents. And she returns home to her parents, and her mother is kind of like, we're struggling, and, but we're going to be all right or whatever. She goes in, Adam Eve goes in the refrigerator, and there's only like a milk jug or whatever in there. Now, Adam Eve can, in case you don't know what her powers are, she can make anything she wants from the atoms in the air. Just generate anything out of nothing. And so she fills up the refrigerator with food. She all anything, whatever they needed that she could provide for them. That's basically what she telling them. And the mother is like, no, don't do that. Get rid of that before your father come home. And she's like, why? It just at that instance, her father come home and he's wearing a Burger King uniform or whatever the fast food restaurant is, and he's working at this place. And she's like, why you? What's going on? And he's telling her like, look, I've been providing for this family since before you was born. I can take care of it. We're gonna handle it. I don't want your help because he has a disdain for the superheroes, including his daughter. So he doesn't discriminate. He does not care for the superheroes. And so she turns one of the apples into a solid gold piece. Go sell that and get your money. Stop working at this place, and whatever. And so later on, when we go back to that house, we see that Adam Eve looks in the trash and that solid gold apple is in the trash can. So she's upset. She goes inside, she talks to her parents, and she's talking to her father about what she's doing and how she's helping and all of the good that she has provided for people since she's decided to stop doing superhero work. And her father shows her the newspaper. And in the newspaper, we find out that the reason the city of Chicago didn't build on that piece of land is because it's unstable. So that playground that she built, this little area, recreation area that she built, collapsed and injured multiple people. Luckily, nobody died, but a lot of people were hurt. So it was like an eye-opening thing to Adam Eve, like that old expression, the path to hell is paved with good intentions, and that's basically what it was here. It was heartbreaking, really. It was like, man, she really tried to do good. And so there's that subplot. We have Debbie, who is fighting against the hold that Omni-Man or Nolan has left in her life, but it hasn't gone anywhere. It's like it's this. I love this performance, and I know this is animated. I get it, people. I'm not crazy, but I love this performance here because, my God, Debbie's character is out of all the characters on this show, I think she's the only like human character. Everybody else has abilities. There's other human characters, of course, normal characters, I guess you could say, but they're few and far between here that is showcased, and she is one of the few. And she gives so much human emotion and all the weight of what's going on her. I mean, she mentioned earlier in the episode about how Cecil's team who rebuilt the house and the cabinet door, whenever she closed the door, it doesn't close properly, and it's frustrating. And later on in the episode, we have an epic breakdown where she goes get some wine and she closes the cabinet door and the cabinet door swings back open and she just unleashes on this cabinet door like she did. That was the straw, and she just breaks all the glass that was in that cabinet and all this here. She's on the floor. She's just broken, and it was beautifully done because you see all the broken glass around her, and she's just as broken as those wine glasses on the floor, and she's on the floor with them, and she's just crying. And Mark comes in, and he she looks over at Mark, and she tries to hold it, and she just can't. She just can't at this point. She has to let the pain come out. She's been holding it in all this time, and this was like the first time Mark has witnessed this, and it was soul crushing. And they embrace on the floor. It was soul crushing, man, on the real. So we have another kind of a subplot, And this was a continuation from an episode from the first season with the Martian, where that the little parasites, those squid parasites, had got on that astronaut, Russ Livingstone, I think his name is, and we revisit that character. The original Russ was captured by that squid, whatever, and allowing them the chance they needed to infect the Martians, and a Martian shapeshifter took Russ's form and returned to Earth as the astronaut. And so he struggles to fit in through a series of goofy kind of scenes. He's trying to pass himself off as human. And so the new Russ he's comical. He's very comical. Hilarious nonetheless. But so he devises a plan to kind of join the Guardians of the Globe as a shapeshifter, since he's able to shapeshift. And so he now announces himself as the superhero called Shapesmith in auditions for the Guardians. And it's a light and is a comical scene, and it really demonstrates how Invincible is what it is. This is what makes this show stand apart from any other animated superhero show you're going to see. And the other Guardians of the Galaxy, speaking of them of the galaxy, wrong universe, Guardians of the Globe stuff, it starts it's getting real good with this, the dissension in the ranks, so to speak, which started in episode 1 and is getting deeper now. And so we this is going to be fun to watch as the season goes on. Will this break up the Guardians of the Globe, with so much disdain for one another? I mean, not everybody is hating on everybody. There's just a couple of pieces there that are infighting, so to speak. Uh what's his name? Immortal is sleeping with the girl that duplicated herself. Can't think of her name, but she was dating this other guy, and now he is upset. And it's a mess here. And so there's a lot to go on there, and not to mention how Immortal is now the leader, whereas the other guy, I can't think of his name either, he was the leader and he got demoted, and it's just so much there. Now, like I said, going into this, there's a lot going on, but it's not to the point where it's oversaturated. It's not too much going on where you can't follow anything. Everything is flushed out, and you can get on board with all of these characters. So I am enjoying this. This was a real good episode. We did get a mid-credit scene where we saw Mark captured. Now, as the scene played out, you notice that this probably is in our universe here. This definitely is a different dimension, especially since we see Angstrom, the new Angstrom with the big giant brain interrogating Mark. And we see a different version of Cecil in this universe. Cecil is a woman, and so it's a cool little scene to still kind of remind the audience that yes, Angstrom is still the main bad of this season. Don't get it twisted, because throughout the episode I was wondering, like, wait, so we're not going to touch in on Angstrom, but we did get that mid-credit scene, which was nicely done. I am enjoying this so far. 2 episodes in, 0 complaints. This has picked up exactly where it left off last season. I enjoyed last season so much. I thought it was one of the best animated superhero series to come out in a long time. And so far, I'm not disappointed with season 2. I would like to know, how are you feeling about Invincible season 2 thus far? Are you enjoying these first 2 episodes of the season, or are you just kind of like it's all right? It's not as good as the first season. I I would disagree with you, but hey, it's all subjective. I'm not mad at you. You can email the show kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also look me up on all social media platforms. Just look up the KB Radio Network as well as the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube. Subscribe and like this video. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of Invincible Season 2, Episode 2, entitled In About 6 Hours, I Lose My Virginity to a Fish. I just wanted to say that again. Anyway, want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love everyone. And until we speak again, you all be blessed.